Welcome to the Chamber Vibes Podcast with your host, Brittany Timmons, the Greater Guthrie Chamber of Commerce CEO and President. In this podcast, you will hear from local guests who will discuss topics such as leadership, small business, and our vibrant community. You'll also hear success stories and tips from amazing local businesses, dive into important news, meet community leaders, and find out how you can get involved in our community. From the Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful and historic downtown Guthrie, America, here is Brittany Timmons.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of Chamber Vibes. Today, I've got my friend. Everyone's my friend. Everyone's my friend in Guthrie. I love it. I say friend a lot, and I get I get teased.
That's all right.
I do have my friend Seth Robbins with Terra Insure Group on with me today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Thanks to Chris for hosting.
Yes.
I've watched the Chamber podcast before. Big fan. Glad to be on it.
Awesome. Well, glad to have you. So let's just dive in and tell everyone, what is Terra Insure Group and who is Seth Robbins and what do you do?
Well, I've lived here since 1983. My parents started a church here and moved us over here from Stillwater in 1983. I went all K through 12, only one of my siblings that went K through 12 here at Guthrie. I've never lived anywhere else after that. And then in 2009, myself and a friend of mine named Jason Herzl started Terra Insure Group. It's an independent insurance agency, and when you hear the phrase independent insurance agency, all that means is that we're not employed by a single carrier. We represent dozens of carriers, and we're allowed the flexibility to go out and shop for various products, various pricing, various coverage levels, things like that. So we specialize in personal lines right now. We do a lot of home and farm and rural property and automotive, things like that, from an insurance standpoint. But we also do some commercial. We do some life and health. We do some group benefits on a very small scale as our clients need them. But mainly our focus is the personal lines insurance that everybody has to have either by their lender or by the law.
Yeah. So what would you say is your bread and butter?
Our bread and butter is rural property.
Rural property. Okay.
We have very, very, very good capabilities of doing. A lot of people in Logan County don't live within 5 miles of a 24-hour-a-day staffed fire department. They don't live within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. They may have 20 acres and a couple of horses or a couple of show animals. There's a lot of that in our county, and that's what we're absolutely the best at, is doing, say, a double-wide mobile home on 20 acres where they have 2 horses. That's really our bailiwick. It's what we're best at.
Awesome. Yep. That's cool. So obviously you said you can do a little bit of all the things.
We literally can do just about everything. We have capabilities, we have contacts and relationships to do just about everything. But in response to what do we do best? That's what we do best.
Cool. Yep. So it kind of sets you apart from the other guys.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So how long have you guys been in business?
We kicked off in July of 2009, so okay. We're just celebrating 14 years.
Awesome.
We call our anniversary September 1st, but we moved into the building we're in now in 2009 in the middle of the summer, and then we furnished the office, got carrier appointments, filed all of our regulatory licensing documentation, things like that. But we say September 1st, but we really opened in July of 2009.
Very cool. So you've been here quite some time.
It'll be 15 years next summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all through COVID and
the
crazy.
Yeah, we've been through quite a bit. In our early years when we first started, knock on wood, we're not returning to that, but we had some really gnarly weather from 2009 to 2013, and that created some challenges early on. And then, of course, the COVID-19 phenomenon. We closed our offices for a while to the public and just worked, through DocuSign and, Zoom meetings, Teams, whatever platforms people would have. And then, we went from there. And then recently, about a year and a half ago, we actually invested in the building that we're in rather than rent. We went ahead and purchased our building, and glad to have done so, and excited for all the positive momentum Guthrie has. And, the Chamber's a big part of that, and we appreciate you guys. And I just feel like that there is an excitement in our community that hasn't been, that's been absent for a little while. And I feel like that, all the people who are making investments in residential properties, some good friends of mine, out at Cedar Valley with Greg Ireton and Bo Martin and Elijah Morris. And then,
so many cool things happening
right,
out there.
And then this addition they're trying to do at Pine and Drexel and right there by University. A lot of people moving to the area. And, of course, with new citizens moving to town, services are required like insurance.
Right.
And so we feel like that we're in a growth market. The insurance industry right now is in what's defined in our terms as a hard market. And what that means is that the capacity in the marketplace for new business has diminished. There's hardly any appetite by any insurance carrier right now to write new business. And so they become very restrictive in terms of their underwriting guidelines, their pricing, things like that, to discourage new business. And so we're in one of those right now. We're in a hard market. A lot of people, I'm sure, have noticed radical increases in all lines of insurance. And
it hasn't been increased, though. It's kind of everywhere.
Right. And the problem is in the insurance business is it's a very slow moving entity, right? Or a monolith, this huge industry, because it's interconnected from the very tops of, the penthouse of the big banks all the way down to local agencies like mine. It's integrated across all aspects of our economy, all levels of socioeconomic status. And so it takes a long time for insurance to change, to respond to the times where, if you have a grocery store and the price of eggs this week is $2 and you sell it for $4 and next week it's $3, you sell it for $6, you can change your pricing quickly. But insurance, it's on about a 30 to 36 month turnaround on how they react. So all of these increases that we're facing right now are all directly tied to the severity of storms and catastrophic events we've been having for the last 2 decades, but also to the inflation that we brought out of COVID with us, the difficulty in finding building materials, the difficulty in finding vehicle parts. It's
all goes hand in hand.
It's a perfect storm that's really, really, really made the industry very challenged right now. And I know you and I talked about this the other day. Some of the states where the regulation isn't as friendly to the carriers, they're just up and leaving. State Farm and Allstate both stopped writing new policies in California. They're just from their lack of profitability in those markets. And so for us as agents and agency owners, is we straddle a fence many times to where we desperately want to do right by our clients, but we also want to desperately do right by our carriers, because there's nothing in the Bill of Rights that says an insurance carrier has to sell you insurance in Oklahoma. So we try and be very, very understanding of them and where they're at, and then at the same time be very understanding of our clients and how it's affecting them.
Yeah. So one way, with you being a broker, so to speak, where you represent multiple insurance companies.
Right.
How does that work? Like, so you can find what's best for your client, and then can you change carriers?
Yes.
If you find a better deal for them, or how does that work?
So right now, and we're not immune. Most of our clients are seeing significant rate increase. I think the average right now in Oklahoma is about 37% on property insurance for 2023 is the average rate increase, and then I think auto's somewhere around 16 to 20. But for us, the advantage that we have over someone who is an employed agent of a single carrier, we have the ability, and I'll use Chris for example, and Chris and I and Sam, about once every 3 years, we pull their policies out and we screen them across our other carriers just to see, if there's a reason to move, and a lot of times we don't like to just sell on price, right? But unfortunately, that is one of the main drivers when people are shopping for anything is price. And so instead of just me looking Chris in the eye and Sam in the eye and saying, I'm sorry, let's say it's $2,000. $2,000 is all you can do here. I at least have the ability to show them, here's 4 or 5 other quotes from 4 or 5 other markets, and they're all $2,000 too. So why don't you just stay put? Or we found you something that's significantly more affordable, that may be better coverage, maybe a better claim scenario, so let's move. So we have the ability to kind of shift and change with the times. And then there's new carriers coming into Oklahoma and carriers leaving Oklahoma all the time. So what I don't have for you this year, I might have for you next year. And so we're able to pivot and shift a lot quicker than, say, your larger captive companies.
Okay.
We're disadvantaged against a large captive in that nobody's out advertising for us, right? If I was the State Farm,
you don't have that one massive brand, right?
Like this State Farm guy here in town, he can't watch. I promise you, he can't watch a sporting event or a movie or a TV show that he isn't seeing a State Farm commercial, and certainly, he helps pay for all that with the work that he does.
Sure.
But he's getting a lift because of that brand recognition. Sure. Where for us, the carriers we represent, there's more of a learning curve. We have to tell people, okay, Travelers is this size and this is their financial strength, or Safeco is a division of Liberty Mutual. You've heard of Liberty Mutual. So there's a little bit of an educational curve in what we sell versus somebody who sells Farmers or Allstate or State Farm who are just ubiquitous and have this global brand recognition. So on one hand, we have the advantage of being nimble and being able to move policies and shop rate and things like that. We don't have that massive marketing machine behind us, helping us to generate leads.
Right.
So it's a give and take.
Where I see you sponsor things. You're part of sports here in Guthrie. You partner with Guthrie News Page or with the Chamber. I mean, that's where that local involvement is so important. So people can be like, who is Tig? Who is Seth? What what can you do?
So those things are hard to quantify. I don't know, it's probably 11 years that we've done the radio show for the football with Chris and Phil and others before them, or that, they've had different staff through the years, but I don't know, we're probably coming up on 11 or 12 years of doing that. I can't tell you
what the exact ROI is or whatever on that,
what that's done for me, but we look at it and say it's kind of an all hands on deck approach, right? We're trying to get that, not necessarily brand recognition for our carriers, but brand recognition for us as an agency. So between Chris letting us sponsor the post-game show and an ad in the media guide and a fence on the billboard at the softball field, to banners at the FFA auctions and functions in here and Coyle and Mulhall, we hope that eventually people go, okay, we know who those guys are, right? And so what we've also found is that probably 80% of our clients, if you were to stop them on the street and say, who do you have your car insurance with? They're not going to tell you Safeco. They're not going to tell you Mercury. They're not going to tell you MDOW. They're going to say, we have it with Terra Insure.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we've always been for the last 15 years, is just continuing to present ourselves to the community as a community partner, and hope that eventually, pays dividends. And so it's a little different than, say, running a Google campaign or running a Facebook ad where you can get immediate analytics. And the truth of the matter is there's anybody who says different would be lying to you. There's some vanity in it. I like listening to the radio and hearing Chris go, my buddy and classmate Seth Robbins, go see him, or seeing your logo in the media guide, or seeing, your fence at a ball game. Because the truth of the matter is the strength of the community is what will ultimately build my business and other agents here in town's business. And so as long as the community continues to grow, as long as we continue to have, a vibrant and robust chamber and agreeable city government and, things like Guthrie News Page, things like the podcast, things like Second Banana Media, that make us an appealing community, it'll grow. And as the community grows, we'll all grow.
It'll grow, yeah. And I mean, that just, I mentioned that because I knew who you were before I even met you and built a relationship with you and with the chamber. So because I'd seen the ads, and so to me, you stick out as one of those community partners. And I think that's awesome. That's what we need more of.
Well,
community wins. We say it all the time.
We do. And the people here in town in my industry, Kevin Kraft, Blake Whimsy, the gentleman at Farmers, it escapes me right now, but Jason at Farmers. I feel like our industry has always been really good at supporting the communities they're in. And so you see them splashed around. You see the things that State Farm does with the big donations and the grant giving and all that. I feel like that insurance agents are kind of that old economy, thread of a community, the bedrock of a community. And I'm proud of our community. I'm proud of the other agents here and all that we do to support all the local comings and goings. And the truth of the matter is there, especially when you're talking about things with the school and the youth, there's not funding for any of those extra things. And so
it takes us all
stepping up and chipping in. And that's not to say there's not other industries here that are super supportive. I'm just saying I can only speak to the insurance guys because I pay attention to what they're doing too. And I feel like we all kind of have our little niche. I see Blake doing the Student of the Month things. And then I see Kevin with the big grant writing and the rewards through State Farm. And I feel like that we're a little more heavy in sports and ag and FFA because what did I say our specialty was? Rural property?
Rural property.
So we invest a lot in the FFAs and 4-H's and things like that. So
it's awesome.
We all got a part to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that's awesome that you brought up the other agents because I think Guthrie's very blessed in that we have so many great ones to choose from. Very personable and investing back in the community. So I think it's like you said, it's a compliment to your entire industry, really.
It is. And you whether you want to be or not, when you get in the insurance business, you're just really in the people business.
Absolutely.
And an HO3 special form homeowners policy, there isn't a nickel's worth of difference whether you buy them from me or 20 other places. What makes the difference is the person that signed the application with you.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of really great agents here in town. We don't need any more. Yeah. But there's plenty enough to go around. I don't know the figures, but I can't imagine. I know that in 2009, when we first got in this business, we were doing our due diligence. Logan County was about a $56 million personal lines market. And I would bet you that it's doubled since then.
Oh, I'm sure.
In terms of natural increase in the value of property plus all the new construction and new move-ins and renovations and things like that. So there's plenty enough to go around. But I am definitely proud of myself, our agency, and the other people and the other agents in Guthrie and what we do for the community.
No, me too, 100%. And you all are there for people sometimes in their roughest times, whether it's a weather event or an automobile or life. I mean, there's just you all are there for your clients when it's not roses and beautiful moments.
It's difficult and it's very stressful. Chris knows due to our friendship. He knows the stresses that I feel when I hear sirens or when I smell smoke or when I see a rotating supercell heading our way. And oftentimes I'll text him and say, what's on fire, who's been in that wreck, however, because we're not first responders, right? I have a nephew who's a new first responder here with Guthrie Fire Department, and he often likes to say, you're interacting with people at the worst moment on their worst day.
Yeah.
Well, we're not there. We're not at the front line, but we're next.
Right.
After the triage, after the medical care, after the shock wears off, then it's up to us to come in and hopefully put people back at least in the condition they were in before whatever happened to them. And you're right. I mean, in 2011, one of the last times we had, one of the tornadoes that came through 20th and College area and drifted off to the north, our agency staff, we were literally meeting people coming out of their shelters and trying to make a plan with them on what to do next, how to get them some clothes for the evening, how to get them, into a hotel for an evening. And so it is pretty stressful.
I can imagine.
But it is rewarding
right.
when after it's all over and done with and they've been put back how they were before. Things don't always go perfectly, but for the most part, they go pretty well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I can imagine that being stressful, but also, like you said, rewarding for you because you know that that you truly care about your clients. You're not just collecting a check from them, that you're going to be there for them when they need it.
If you're not going to be collecting a check from them very long.
Right.
Very long.
Right.
The average life of a client, again, I'm quoting old figures, but I know when I started 15 years ago, if you kept a client for 7 years, you were you were to consider yourself very lucky. And the majority of our clients have probably been with us 10 plus years.
Awesome.
And so we like to think we work really hard to hold on to people, to make things easy for them best we can.
Yeah.
And but it's definitely a very old. I'm kind of going to transition here. I'm going to pitch to the younger viewers. Our industry, much like say the trade contractors, is a very aging industry, and so definitely there's opportunities for young people. I know a lot of the universities now have insurance majors or insurance minors, and
that wasn't always a thing.
No, but it's a very sturdy profession. It's challenging, but it's rewarding, and I hope that there are some young business-minded young people out there who look to possibly get in our industry someday.
Yeah. Are you hiring?
I actually
that's a plug. There you go.
I actually have a young person coming out of college next year who I think is going to join our agency and kind of shepherd us into this new millennia that we're in that's almost a quarter old already.
Right.
But yeah, no, we're always looking for younger people. One of our CSRs is 27, and she offers a completely different perspective, and she brings a different energy, and she can communicate with those in her age bracket really a lot better than we can.
That's
so
cool.
It's nice to have a generational
Absolutely.
mix. With between Dennis on the high side and Kira on the low side.
We won't tell Dennis. I mean, you didn't mean that mean, didn't
know. He knows he's old.
There's the team right there.
We have
on the screen.
We have baby boomer. We've got a handful of Gen Xers, and we have a millennial. So hopefully next year at this time we'll have a Gen Zer.
There you go.
And we can keep the diversity happening.
Yeah, I think that's really important. That's a great perspective. That maybe not too many industries think about. You're like, oh, I've been here for 30 years doing the same old. Well, who's going to do it after you?
One of the big buzzwords in our industry, in the trade magazines and things like that, is planning for succession. Because so many, I would venture to guess the average age of an insurance agent in the United States is probably 56, 58 years old. And, you can't work forever. And unfortunately, our industry doesn't move as fast as younger people would probably like it to. It's very old school, but it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. Very important.
We all have to have it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, should have it.
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
should.
We should. Yes. Well, I want to talk about, obviously, you're a Blue Jay. Your family, you love being here. You decided to stay here, start a business, not move away. So recently, the family has expanded some new businesses here in Guthrie. So do you want to touch a little bit on that? And I think to me that shows how much you want to pour back into Guthrie and allow new things to come to Guthrie.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
So I have 4 kids, and two out of the 4 live here in town. I have one. Our oldest lives just north of Corpus Christi, Texas, but my second oldest, my daughter Ryan Crockett, and my wife have for years and years and years sort of toyed around with the idea of having some sort of a shop or boutique or some sort of retail business that they could come to every day and see each other and interface with their friends and community members. And about right around Easter, my wife and I started talking about the prospect of opening up a floral business. And when I was growing up in this community, we had 3 active floral businesses at any one time. And then I think also there was, I'm pretty sure that Homeland had a florist. So there were 4 or 5 places that you could go buy fresh flowers, have arrangements done, deliveries made in Guthrie. Well, since that time, since I was a teenager, we've done nothing but grow. And due to retirements and shifting appetites within the grocery business, the fire that we experienced back in, what was that, 18 or 19? Where we were just down to one flower shop here in town, and they do a great job. I've been a customer of theirs for years, but we felt like that Guthrie had the horsepower to clearly have another one, and then do things a little differently,
There they are, right there.
So we we decided to jump off and get do a little friends and family fundraiser and gather the seed funds to get it started. And we rented that space that Chris had up there in the graphic. And my wife went to a kind of immersive floral design school.
Okay.
And got some formal training. She's always been a green thumb,
Naturally
always been
good
really
at it.
good at design and had a good eye for color and things like that. But she went to a really fast pace, like I said, very immersive, 8 hour a day for, weeks, design school to get some legitimacy under her design. And then our daughter is mainly focused on the gift items. And
those are so beautiful. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see
they do a good
beautiful
job.
photos.
They do a good job. And so they opened last Friday, and it's a full service floral business called Cottage Floral. And then they offer really unique gifts, right? Things that you can't get in a lot of places, a lot of home goods and baby items, things like that. And then as you see there on the screen, the flower bar, and they're doing the flower bars on Friday and Saturday where you can come in. The stems are priced per stem. And you can buy 6 stems, and they will wrap it for you. They will put it in a vase for you. You can take it home and put it in your own vase. But it's turned out to be, so far, it's been very popular. And so we're doing that. And then back in March, we decided to build an Airbnb on our actual residential property here in town. We had a couple of extra lots attached to our deed. And we worked with the great folks at the city, Dan and Bill and the council and everybody else. And we're about maybe 3 more weeks away from having that open. Again, why would we do that? Well, we would do that because of the way Guthrie's trending. I mean, I would have loved to have been open this week for the youth rodeo.
Right.
And we will be in future years. But it's a bet on Guthrie. This is where we're going to be. I think a lot of us spend the earlier parts of our life daydreaming about being somewhere else or wanting to spread our wings and fly, and then you hit middle age, and the only way I'm leaving Guthrie now is with a toe tag on. So, I mean, I'm going to die here, God willing. And so we're making a bet with the flower shop. We're making a bet with buying the real estate that our agency's in, building the Airbnb next to our house, we're just betting on the future growth, and I feel like it's a pretty safe bet.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. It's an exciting time for sure. Well, congratulations on the new business.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the Airbnb.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll have you guys down when it's all done for a quick tour, and we used all, local contractors and local suppliers where we could. We have so many good craftsmen here in town, and you really don't have to go outside the city limits of here to get just about anything done.
Right. I agree. And one of the most popular phone calls we get at the chamber is, where's a good place to stay? So we can add you to the awesome list of great places. We're excited.
Sure.
Well, I'm excited for the Robbins family. Lots of good happening. You. Also probably sort of terrifying and stressful at the same time. But like you said, you feel good about it.
We do.
You feel good about it.
We do. So. I mean, we're our whole family, but I can speak for my immediate family. I mean, we're people that take our faith serious, and we feel like that we seek wisdom from the Lord, and we seek opportunity, and we have a million ideas, but we run them all by Him, and some of the things we felt very comfortable opening this floral business. We felt very comfortable building the Airbnb, and I've made a whole lot more bad investments than I've made good investments, and a whole lot more mistakes than I've done things right. But, I feel pretty good about what we're doing.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy for you. So, so what's the best way for people to reach you?
Honestly, my favorite way for people to reach us is to stop by 622 South Division.
Okay.
We got parking on the north, parking
there
on the south. come in and see us, see the ladies that work in our office, the other agents that work up front that are the real front-end personnel, Lisa Engel and Kira Myers. They are incredibly sharp, incredibly good at what they do. We have a nice, relaxed, inviting environment. That's my favorite way for people to get in touch with us. Otherwise, our office phone is 293-4880. People can check us out online at tigok.com. And then we're on all forms of social media.
Yep.
Just about anywhere you want to look, you'll find us and a way to visit with us. And, we just look forward to visiting with more folks. We're writing new policies
Quotes
every day.
Free.
Quotes are free.
They need to just stop in or give you a call.
I'm a terrible salesman. I'm literally a terrible salesman. I can't tell you how many people bring their policies in, and I look at them, and I just tell them, you know what? It's not the right time for you. Just stick with what you're doing, or
But that makes you honest, though,
well,
Seth.
it just.
I'm the same way. I won't twist arms to join the chamber. I just believe in what we do.
When I first got in the business, I would bend over backwards to do anything I could to get any piece of business I could. Mm-hmm. But realistically, you get to a point where I don't want to enter into a situation that's stressful or not beneficial to a client. I went on a trip last September and a little family reunion up in Colorado, and my wife's cousin has a pretty successful, thriving real estate business in the Pacific Northwest. And she said something I never heard before. She said, however it starts with a client is however it's going to finish. And I hadn't really thought about it that way. And so, but it made sense to me that if things aren't going to fit exactly right, you might as well just walk away. But I do encourage people in this market where prices are just breathtakingly out of control to gather up your documentation and come see us. We will
free to talk.
It's free to talk, and we will tell you. We tell people every day, yes, that's high, but no, we can't beat it. So stay right where you're at. Don't leave your guy. Don't leave your gal. There's no reason to make a lateral move. Or you have an excellent policy at a pretty fair price. Just stay where you're at. But we also have people that come in. I had a couple come in yesterday, and they were being non-renewed on their home just because of the way the market is right now. The carrier they have is exiting the market. And then they were with like Progressive Direct on their autos. And we were able to, their expiring home premium was $3,300. We knocked it down to $2,300. Their expiring auto premium was $1,200. We did it for $567. So, that $1,000 they saved on the home premium, that's $1,000 a year they saved on the auto premium. And that's $2,000 that they can allocate to higher groceries, higher gas, higher cell phone bills, higher utility bills. And so, and on top of everything else, they got more robust and higher coverage, lower deductibles. And so we don't always hit home runs like that, but that was an absolute home run. We get a new piece of business. We save them not a life-changing amount of money. That's probably hyperbolic, but
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. $2,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it changes the dynamic of their finances and gives them better coverage. When we can do that, it's been a good day.
Right. That's awesome. Very cool. I like stories like that. I was going to ask you for a story.
Well, there was my
you were ready
story.
for one.
Story.
Thank you so much for taking time out to visit. I hope that you all learned a little bit more about Seth and his family and about Terra Insure. And like we said, it's free to go talk to them, free to meet them. Just go in and say hey and see if they can help you out.
Come visit us, Brittany.
Yeah.
Thank you to the chamber.
Yeah.
With opening these new businesses, we've been in there more than I've been in there in the last 15 years. And the environment there at the chamber, the excitement, the quality of staff, the communication. That's been something that I've really appreciated, knowing what's going on in town, knowing what events are available.
Thank you.
And then I'd like to thank Chris for providing the platform for us all to get to know each other better.
Yeah, this is not me pushing buttons. So we've got a great producer. So, yes. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you next time for Chamber Vibes. Give Seth a call. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the Chamber Vibes podcast from Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful downtown Guthrie, America. Be sure and check out a new episode every other Monday. And until then, remember to choose Guthrie.